Oh my God. I don't think we're supposed to be listening to this, y'all.
Okay, let's see. Now, that was a proper.
Y'all, it's crazy. Are they playing Poison at the Look at all these Christians, y'all. Everybody's standing there and look. Some people. Played a little bit of Drake earlier. I was like, what are we doing? And he also played oh, he got a dog on the stage.
We have a good lunch? You did dead well, you're happy, we're back. We got the coffee. Anybody get some coffee to wake up? Yeah. Well, we're so thrilled.
Also played Poison.
On stage. Say hi.
No. And songs be watching.
To the Garth Brooks, that's who it was. So believe it or not, here's the dog. He's up here for a reason, though. This next speaker is an amazing man, and he has a massive heart. And I can personally tell you, his daughter and his son-in-law are great friends of mine, and I've been to their home and had such a wonderful time experiencing the hospitality of this Louisiana family. I mean, who would have thought that this, where are my people at? I can tell you about Mr. Willie Robertson. When this man had an entire network come to him to offer a television show, I know for a fact that he was going to do it his way. He was going to do it the way that he led and raised their family. And when they offered him money and more money to do things, and to be able to put money as the premise of their family, as a leader of his family and the leader of his business, he said faith and family will stay first. I want you to check out this video, a little more about Mr. Willie Robertson.
I don't know none of these people, y'all, but
CEO of Duck Makers and star of Duck Dynasty, Willie Robertson. Hear how Willie expanded his family's company from a living room operation to a multi-billion-dollar enterprise with Duck Dynasty, becoming the leading destination for all things outdoors. His story is a remarkable example of entrepreneurship and dedication built on faith. family, and hard work.
Does conferences and stuff.
I'll look her up. Right.
Yo, give a big check.
Monroe.
Why does he have the dog?
It's a hunting dog for ducks, so I think they just brought it out just for show.
Oh, okay.
It's a
I thought it was
Labrador.
gonna be for the guy with no arms. That's okay.
What is up? Wow. You know what I can't escape is this duck, all right? This duck, this legacy of a duck has followed me everywhere that I've went. And you know what's funny? It wasn't even my idea. It was my dad's idea. So it was passed down to me, this legacy of a duck. You know how many places that I go, and they say, I know what you want to eat, duck! And I go, no! Beef! Because a duck is kind of hard to cook. I became so famous, guys, that people would come up to me and go, I know who you are. And I'm ready to hear Willie, you're the duck guy. You're that Duck Dynasty dude. That's you. They couldn't even tell me apart because of the beard. So I got that a lot. One funny story, I was at a gas station about 40 minutes from my house, and I walked in. She said, you look like one of those duck guys. I said, yeah, I hear that a lot. She goes, well, you know, I got to be pretty good friends with one of them. I said, who's that? And she goes, Willie. I said, you don't say. She goes, oh, yeah, he comes here all the time. I said, what's he like? He goes, oh, he's super nice and friendly. And I said, that is so good to hear, because sometimes celebrities don't get like that. So I said, it's good to hear that he's one of the good guys. She goes, he is. I said, all right, thank you. See you later. She had no idea who I was. I'm glad it went that way, not the other way. I even last fall was on a show called The Masked Singer. And I made it farther than I thought. So it's a show, if you don't know, you wear this mask and you get in there like, really, you can be whatever you want to be. I mean, this is whatever personality you want to be. Your voice would be distorted, not singing, but you're actually going to sing. But when you talk, you can be whoever you want to be. And I said, that's great. I've got so many ideas. They said, we've already picked your costume. You're a duck! So I can't, but it was actually a really cool duck. And so I couldn't even escape it there. I'm forever connected to a duck. But I guarantee this, at my funeral, not to get morbid on you, but at my funeral, there will not be one mention of any episode of Duck Dynasty. It really won't be. Nobody's going to say, hey, remember that time he did this on the show or whatever. Your legacy is what you leave behind. It's what's remembered about you. It is your funeral talk. That's your legacy here on this earth. And this is my third speech for this conference. This is the first time that I actually read what I was supposed to talk about. The first time I was actually doing Masked Singer and flew to Tampa and did the speech. I don't have a clue what I talked about on that one. But I actually looked at, and what I was supposed to talk about is surge your legacy God's way. And I thought, wow, that's actually a lot to unpack. How do we surge our legacy, which is what we leave behind, God's way? Because if you wait too late, you may have missed it. Because legacy, in a way, is looking backwards. So it's looking backwards at your whole life, and it's living for something in the future, and then living your life backwards. I think about Psalm 145, verse 4. It says, one generation will praise your works, God, to another generation, and will declare your mighty acts. So think about that. One generation will declare the mighty works to another generation. That's going backwards, okay? And that's how we learn, and that's how this is passed down. So how do we do that God's way? Because I got the duck thing down. Like, we create a big thing about ducks. But how do we do that for God? How do we live backwards? Well, you got to think about where you want to be, okay? Where do I want to be? I want to be in eternity. I want to be with God. I want to be in heaven. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going to be. So then you got to work backwards from there. So before you get there, what happens? Some of you are thinking death. Actually, the funeral happens. Because the funeral is after the death. So the funeral happens. Then you're dead. Whether you know about it or whether it's a total surprise, that happens. And then as you go back, you have your life, which is what we're doing now, and you have your actions. And so if you know where you're going, if you know what you're all about, if you know where you're heading and where you'll be for eternity, and if you want to do it God's way, you have to live your life in that way, okay? So let's get this concept of living backwards. I had the best example, it hit me this week, for actually watching this done. Last week we had the Super Bowl. Anybody watch the Super Bowl? You watched it, okay. It's a football game, okay? And so we have the Cincinnati Bengals playing the Los Angeles Rams. Bunch of friends are not like me, okay? Okay, I was pulling for Cincinnati. I like that. We pulled some more fans over just from that one thing. And so they're playing the Rams from Los Angeles. So I did some study on the Rams. So I don't know if y'all knew this, but the ram, the actual symbol of a ram was actually a pagan symbol. Now some of you Dallas Cowboy fans are going, what's a pagan symbol? Okay? Let me explain it to you because I'm a scholar. All right? Yeah. The Rams are from the devil. Okay, that's what that means. It's a satanic football team. Okay? I'm going for the Saints. Okay, so maybe too much on that. So it was a great game. The Rams ended up winning the game. They had a great team, and the game's over. And I watched it with my wife, which means I get to listen to everything not football about what I'm watching. Why are the goalposts that tall? Why are they going that way? Look at the grass. Why are they going this way? But at the end of the game, something happened. There was a wide receiver who also won the MVP. His name was Cooper Kupp. All right? And so this guy's talking, and I'm not even really paying attention, but I'm seeing like he's so humble, and he's looking down, and he's talking about God, and not like the traditional, like, you know, hey, God's good. You know, he was like, God is so good. I mean, I felt something from this guy, and I thought, who is this guy? He may be on my team, you know? And so I said, I got to go check out who is this wide receiver who just won the MVP. And so I read the story, and it was unbelievable. So in 2019, he missed out on the Super Bowl. That's the one the Rams cheated the Saints, and they win. Well, they got destroyed. Some of y'all may remember that. So Cooper does not get to go to the Super Bowl. And he has a vision from God that they will go back to the Super Bowl, and he will win the MVP of the Super Bowl. That's the vision he has from God. And he tells his wife, he doesn't tell anyone else. He tells his wife. And he said it changed his whole life. He started playing not for 4 years, from the
Amen. Come on.
I said, Dadgummit, I'm not start pulling for the rails. I like him. He said this, I got to play in a place where I was validated not from anything that happened on the field, but because of my work in God and my Father.
Amen.
That's pretty strong. And that's the guy who just won the MVP of the Super Bowl, which is a lot like, it looks like when you the MVP, like the NFL thing, it looks like that. And this guy had the highest honor in the biggest game. What is he doing? He's creating a legacy, not just for the world, he's creating a legacy for God by what he does. That's awesome. Side note, well, I'm going to support it. I don't know it either. I'm going to support it. So I'm on his website. I see everyone. And so I'm going to buy a shirt. Everything is sold out. Every shirt is sold out. Every hat is sold out. So I'm scrolling through trying to give him some money, and I can't. So I get to the end, and it goes, if you would like to send Cooper and his team a message, feel free. And I said, I think I will. I said, Cooper, congratulations on being MVP of the Super Bowl. I said, however, next time God tells you something and you really believe it, you should order more inventory. I'm questioning the business sense. And that I know about. I was a part of something that sold a lot of stuff really quickly, and so I have a lot of advice to give him on that. When I think about legacy, guys, and by the way, this message is for you. This is not about my legacy. I'm firm in what I'm doing. I'm firm in where I'm at. My goal is for you. I am here because of you. I am here because, not that I have to be here, I am here because you are here. And I want to be with you. And I want you guys to perhaps change some things and look at your legacy and look at the way you do it God's way and make some adjustments so that we can all together start living a better legacy for God. That's why when I think about legacy, you know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like legwork. Legacy is a lot of legwork. When you think about doing legwork for God, there's an odd fellow back home. I'm from West Monroe, Louisiana, not far from here. So I know this odd fellow back home. He's our good friend, his name is Kurt. And Kurt here, you would already know about that. You know what I'm talking about, yelling and screaming. This guy yells Jesus at the top of his lungs at the most quietest moment, especially in church. But he just yelled and talked about Jesus all the time. And I was so intrigued by it. I was like, I gotta know where this is coming from. So I started hanging out with him, and we become great friends. The fact that he's kind of a handyman, so we were remodeling the house. I said, Kurt, you want to make some money? Yeah, brother. So again, I said, Kurt's going to love this. I said, I'm going to play worship music while we're working. Bad call. I'm over there sanding, and as soon as the song starts, I start hearing him getting cranked up. And he stood there for 2 hours. It's cool, but I'm paying for it, right? I'm paying to watch my man worship. I said, all right, we can't bring worship music back into this place. So I brought him over to the house, and my youngest daughter says, Dad, is that the Jesus guy? But something hit me right there. When she said that, I thought, she just referred to him as the Jesus guy. And now I thought, wait a minute. I'm the duck guy. And I said, you know what I want to be? I want to be the Jesus guy. That's the guy that I want to be. And I said, Dadgummit, I'm going to start right now. I cut all my hair off. But I said right there, I want to be, And God never taught us to do like little things on this earth. He didn't say like, do nothing. You can do anything you want to do. He just said, I always got to be more than whatever that is. So whatever you're known for, if we want to be known for Jesus, we're going to have to step it up and do some legwork to create that legacy, that a godly legacy. I found a blueprint, Matthew chapter 4. This will be the fastest version of one chapter you've ever seen. Matthew chapter 4. We're going to run through this, but we're going to go a little backwards because we're going to go backwards to the beginning. It's such a beautiful legacy of Jesus. Matthew 4. So it's just like, you got to think about how quickly this happened. Jesus was born in Matthew 2. This is 4. A lot has happened. Okay? And when I think about the legacy of Jesus, can I just for 1 second talk about how great, how this legacy, it's 2,000 years later. One thing we have in common in this room is Jesus Christ. That is great. It's what we're worshiping, it's what we're hearing about, it's what we're trying to get help with our jobs. It's why we come to events like this. The common denominator is Jesus Christ, and that is quite a legacy. So I want to study more about Jesus. If I want to be a Jesus guy, I need to study what did he do? And how did he do life? And how can that help me? So the last verse in that chapter says large crowds, this is the last verse, large crowds from all over the region, Galilee, the Decapolis, Jerusalem, Judea and the region, all across Jordan, followed Jesus. So think about a massive amounts of people following him. The question is, why were they following him? What did he do to get them to follow him? He was just born 2 chapters earlier. So I go back to the beginning of the chapter, and I want to know, why is everybody following? What did he do? And this chapter is amazing. It starts out with him being tempted by the devil himself, them two, one-on-one, chatting it up. Number one thing I want you to take from this, if you want to be a Jesus person, you want your legacy to be godly, you have to surge with the Spirit. Because it says Jesus was led by the Spirit to be tempted by the devil. You got to know who's leading you. You don't see Jesus being led by too many things in the New Testament. But the Spirit, he was led by that. Because he knew if you're going to take on the devil himself, you better be led by the Spirit. And every day that we wake up, every day that we're tempted, every day that we fight and we look at things that are not godly, we have to be led by the Spirit of God that lives in us. We have to do that. We just went through, I guess we're still in it, I'm not sure according to what town it is, a pandemic, okay?
Can't tell my hair.
I thought we were still in, I watched the Super Bowl and I'm like, oh no, we're out of it. Oh no, we're back in it. Here's a question. Who was leading us? Who was the leader? Did anybody ever figure it out?
Nobody.
Like to me, it was so confusing. Like, is it the governor? Is it the president? We had 2 presidents. We had all the scientists. We had so many people trying to lead, and it got chaotic, didn't it? It was like, who exactly are we following? Guys, that's the way our life looks when we're not led by the Spirit. We start getting led by everything. I think it's politics. I think it's we got to know who's leading us. What's amazing was it says that he was going to be tempted by the devil. He's led by the Spirit. Then he fasted. I always thought he was fasting, and the devil's like, I gotcha. You're super tired, and you're super hungry. Jesus knew what was coming, so then he fasted. Because Jesus also knew if you're going to take on the devil, not only do you need to be led by the Spirit, but he's going to fast so that he is totally connected and relying on the Father. Isn't that amazing? I wrote this whole thing about how hard it was to fast, then I realized Jesus did it on purpose. He did it on purpose. because that's how much he knew he needed to be relying on the Father. And isn't it weird? You have the Spirit, the Father, and Jesus all in this one thing. And Jesus is laying this plan out to us saying, if you want to surge on this earth, if you want to take on the devil, this is how you have to get yourself prepared. Surge in the Spirit. That last one was amazing to me. I can't go over all the temptations, but the last one, he looked over the city and said, look at all this kingdom and the splendor. When I was pulling it last night, I said, boys, there's Dallas. There it was. Big D. And he said, if you want all this, just follow me. Now, at that one, Jesus said, how about you just get away from me, Satan? He said, now, can you imagine offering that to Jesus Christ, the creator of everything? You want this down? But there's something about that pulls us in there. There's something about being a part of the world that we're drawn to. Don't even get me started on social media and what we're trying to follow and who we're following and how we look and what we talk about, what do we not talk about. It's a big temptation. I will say this. I may be the Duck Guy, but I will say this about Duck Dynasty. We will probably forever, part of our legacy will be, it was the most watched reality show in the history of cable television. Okay? It's worldly, but I will say this. There was no cursing, there was no nudity, there was no scandal, there was no fist fight. And every episode ended with a prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. It didn't just go in this country, but in 100 countries all over the globe. That is godly legacy. You do not have to be like the world to be successful. It's a lie that the devil is whispering to you, that you have to be more like the world if you want to be popular. It's a lie. You're on the mountain and he's whispering to you. And you're like, well, if I post it, yeah, but it's not. Do not listen to the devil. It's a lie. Number 2, you've got to surge your preaching. In this chapter, go back and look at it. There's little headings, and it says Jesus begins to preach. Jesus begins to preach? I always thought he was preaching all the time.
I'm finna write y'all.
Nobody knew he was yet because he wasn't preaching yet. At this point, he said, it's time to preach. And he starts to preach. I know that when the Apostle Peter, well, think about Peter. At the end of Jesus' life, Peter curses and denies he even knows Jesus. Usually you're not going to preach after doing that. If I did that and it was on TMZ, it'd be hard to be on this stage right now. But lo and behold, Acts chapter 2, who gets up and starts preaching? Right. Peter. So we got the Holy Spirit and we got preaching.
Peter repent.
Saul, boom, blinded, has this encounter with Jesus. In Acts 9:17, I want you to listen to the number, 9:17. It says, Saul is filled with the Holy Spirit. In 9:20, 3 verses later, he begins to preach, Jesus Christ is the Son of God. He was just murdering the same people. Jesus is tempted by the devil. He's led by the Spirit right after he starts to preach. I got a question. This is going to be tough. When did you start preaching? When did you start preaching? You can start texting people and saying, did I ever start preaching? Because here's the deal. I know what you're thinking. Willie, I'm not a preacher. I'm not a preacher. Neither am I. I'm not either. Y'all know what I do. I sell duck coffee. Neither was Peter. Fisherman. Neither was Paul. We later found out he's a tent maker. Jesus, carpenter. See, it's not your vocation, right? It doesn't matter what you do to make a living. When you're led by the Spirit, you have something to say to other people. And you start preaching. If the devil is whispering that in your ear, that you should just keep some things to yourself, it is a lie. Godly legacies are not built by people who rarely ever talk about God.
Shaka close up
Godly legacies are people
to
who
his
can't
room with
help
his
but
app,
talk about God.
unfortunately.
But did Paul say, I can't even hold it in? My friend Kurt, it just comes out.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is new believers. Jesus converts the disciples. One of my favorite stories to talk about. Because it's about fishing, and I love fishing. It's where Peter was called. We go back in time, we see where Peter was called. And having my dad, who was a fisherman who came to the Lord, completely changed his legacy, that's really powerful to me. Because not only did it change my dad's and my mom's, it changed mine. And then you go to the next generation, and guess what? They're saved. And now generation after generation after generation. If you're listening to the devil and he's saying you can't make a big impact, that's a lie. I saw it happen. We were nobody going nowhere. And thank God for the gospel. And the last one is Jesus heals the sick. Surge by helping others. This one's tough. At the end of that chapter, it says all the sick came to Jesus. Severe pain, demon-possessed, seizures, paralyzed. Can you imagine if everybody brought somebody to you because they thought you could help them? Can you imagine the weight, the pressure that Jesus Christ has? And I thought about other people, and I'm thinking, is the devil whispering to us? Those people are not your problem. Is the lie that it's all about us? Make sure you go to church and make sure you and your family are. It's about other people. Jesus didn't even have to do this. He was going to save humanity. But he knew that when I go help others, man, I really get their attention because we're going to help with their needs here, and then I can get them something that's going to last eternally. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. This whole business is other people. It's not about ourselves, it's about other people. I want you to hold on one finger. One finger. This is going to symbolize one person. Jesus said he left the 99 of the sheep to go find the one person. The one person. And I want you to hit that one as you're hitting your hand. Be thinking about that one person. Who's that? Carol Robinson. Who's that person that can have a big impact? Let's do two. Can we go for two people? There may be two people in here. With two people. Two people from this crowd, like 20,000 people. What if there was three? I'm trying to hear you, three. Can we go four? What if there was four people? Let's go all the way. Let's go five. 50,000 people. And God serves the life. Serve the preaching. Serve the spirit. And let's go out here and serve in this community and serve in the world and bring people to God through the gospel and change legacy to everything. Amen.
You ain't gotta go.
Also, for those who are coming back, maybe I'll sit back here.
That is something else. Man.
Priscilla?
Yeah.
I thought that was it.
That's your band?
Why not?
I love that, man. She shook her head strong. Hey, this next teacher is a teacher and a preacher. He will push you, so I hope you are ready to be challenged a little bit. He's the author of a book called from the trash man to the cash man. I practiced that 30 times before I came up on stage. Okay?
Yeah, I had asked him when you was on.
And he is a dynamic teacher with over 30 years of business experience. He has a heart of gold. We like to call him around here the professor. So y'all give a warm Life Search Dallas welcome to Myron Golden.
There's a black guy on the speaking bill. I think this is the only black man on.
Are ready for your life to surge from a biblical perspective. Shout, I am! That was actually really good for the first try. I know y'all are
limping.
How many of y'all are really ready to learn how to make this life surge from a biblical perspective? Say, I am! I'm going to show you how to do that with you. Chapter and verse. I'm going to teach you some principles.
Well, y'all, I gotta take notes.
What's the word you use?
So,
Everybody, what's the word? Some principles are practical that you can put into practice right now.
I'm gonna have to
begin to make your life better. That's exactly what the Word of God does. I'm going to give you a couple of quotes. The first thing I'm going to say is this. Everything that
I
God
love y'all.
ever does,
Come back
does
later
through His
and
Word.
say hi.
Everything He will ever do, He will do through His Word. If He's going to do something in you, He's going to do it through His Word. If He's going to do something through you, He's going to do it through His Word. If He's going to do something for you, He's going to do it through His Word. Through His what? Through His...
See you later.
Talk to everybody through His what? Through His
I'll be
Word.
back.
So people say, dear Lord, bless me, bless my family, bless my business. Be God here. Pray that prayer. God put the blessing in the book and commanded us to put the book in us. And when the book is in us, the blessing is in us. How many of y'all pick up what I'm putting down? Wait, I can say, hi, Mark. So I'm going to share with y'all some principles.